Hey guys, how's it going? I know, long time no talk. But, anyways, I'm here to talk about The Walking Dead, which I haven't been doing weekly reactions to. So I'm just going to kind of talk about my thoughts on season three as a whole, as well as the finale, which I just watched. Um, I think season three is generally better. It is generally improved from what it has been. I think season two kind of dragged a bit too much, and season three kind of kept it tighter, and it was definitely more action packed and more people getting killed every week. And it had a pretty strong premise, which is you have Rick and his group in the prison, and then this crazy guy not too far off running a town. You have basically Rick versus the governor, or Rick's group versus Woodbury, whatever. I think that generally was pretty well done, and I think that the governor was a pretty great villain, all said and done. Definitely, he got more and more vicious as it went along. But I think that the show, while it is, I think has been generally improving, I think it still suffers from the same problem it has all along, which is that one episode is good, one episode's bad, one episode's great, one episode's mediocre. It's all over the map in terms of quality. Um, and it becomes kind of frustrating when you have really good episodes and you know that the show knows how to be good, or in some cases, in some episodes, it knows how to be great. And then you're like, well, then why doesn't it do that every week? Um, and I'll talk a little more specifically about things I liked, but while I do think that the show is tighter and it's more fast paced than it has been, I also felt like season three with the 16 episodes, it was a bit too much. They could have cut some of them. They could have tightened it even more. I don't feel like the story that was told in season three needed to be 16 episodes. I feel like there was some filler in there. And the number one thing which I just hated because I thought it was dumb, and I really feel like they should have cut it entirely, is the whole Rick going crazy thing and him seeing his dead wife. It didn't work. It felt goofy and out of place, and they continued to use it right through the finale. I would have cut that stuff completely. And like I said, there's episodes they didn't need, but strangely enough, one of the best episodes of the season was one that was a good standalone episode that had nothing to do with the rest of it. That was the one where they go back to Rick's hometown for like more guns and stuff, and the dude from the very first episode from the pilot, the black guy, has gone completely crazy and taken over the town and booby trapped it. That was a really good episode. Didn't need to be there because it had nothing to do with the main plot, but it was good. It was better than some of the episodes that did have to do with the main plot. That said, I felt like it got stronger as it went along. I felt like the mid-season premiere was pretty weak, but then it got better and better. The last couple episodes I thought were great. Like I said, I like the one where they go to that town, back to Rick's hometown. I also really liked the one where it was just Rick and the governor having a sit down for the entire episode, trying to work out a deal. It was very suspenseful, and it was just two men sitting in a room talking. And the show obviously knows that could be very suspenseful, and yet, speaking of great suspense, I think my favorite episode of the entire season, and maybe the series, was the second to last one, the one that was last week. I believe it was called "This Sorrowful Life." I don't know why I can't say sorrowful, sorrowful life. Um, I just thought that the it was very suspenseful throughout. And basically, the premise of the episode was Rick was going to give in to the governor's demands and give up Michonne for peace. Myrtle decides to take this task upon himself because he knew Rick would back out at the last second. So Myrtle takes Michonne, and it turns into like this kind of road trip with Myrtle and Michonne, where she kind of speaks to his better half, and makes him realize that he has a chance to redeem himself and to do something good. And the entire road trip with them is very suspenseful, but you're also really liking like the way the the dynamic between Merle and Michonne and the way that their characters are developed, and especially Myrtle's character is developed, only for him to be killed. But it was suspense and stuff like that, but it gave you something to care about. It was put into a context where when it gets to the action, you really cared about what was going on. And it comes to a very good climatic battle where Merle decides to go in himself and take out as many people as he can before getting his ass handed to him by the governor. Which is a little strange how easily the governor just kicks Merle's ass. But generally that was a really great episode. Like I said, it's at least my favorite of the season. And it also had this great speech from Rick near the end that kind of spoke to what the whole season was about, where he's like, what I said before at the season 2 finale about how this is a dictatorship and you do as I say. Well, I was wrong. I'm not your governor. We're the greater good. We decide what we're going to do. And I thought it was a really great speech. It got me pumped up. I was cheering for Merle as he's going in. I'm like, yeah, it was great. And then you come into this week, the finale, which was kind of lame. I'm sorry, it was lame. It's like that speech from Rick and like that whole ending, that was a better season finale. Even though it didn't tie anything up, it was a better season finale than the season finale we got a week later tonight. It was just, tonight was fucking lame. I'm sorry. There were things that were good about it. I really like the stuff with Carl, where Carl's just turning into a little bastard, little devil child, where we kill people. He's turning into like a little governor or a little Shane. And he kills that one kid. Although I gotta say, I might have shot that kid too, because the way he was handing the gun over seemed like any minute he could just go shot him and Herschel. So can't say I disagree with what Carl did, but the whole being a little badass and telling his dad off, you got everybody killed. And when they bring the people back to the prison at the end, he's like, who are these people? Were you not listening to me? Rick's like, they're joining us. He just shakes his head and walks off all pissed. I really enjoyed that stuff, actually. I think they're really doing a lot of cool stuff with Carl. I also liked Andrea in the room with Milton, which that was a crazy awesome start where the governor's torturing Milton, and I'm like, did I miss something here? How did we get into this? They're wasting no time. I was ready for a great finale. And I liked kind of the way it played out, although I don't feel like Andrea had to die at the end. And I'm sorry, I'm not one of the people that hate Andrea. I kind of like her. And it felt like they just kind of kill her off. Have Milton get her and then she shoots herself. And it's just to have something big happen at the end. It's I could think of something that was big that could have happened at the end instead of that. Because what the fuck? Where's the governor? It's like this finale forgot what the whole season was about halfway through the finale, where it's you have them go into the prison, they're blowing shit up. They get shot at by Glenn and they pussy, they run out of there, retreat right away. And then the governor loses his shit, and I thought that was great. He snaps, goes completely crazy, and kills everyone who was on his side. I thought that was great. But then that's the last you see of the governor in the entire episode. I'm like, what the hell was that? I understand the impulse to want to have a cliffhanger or to keep him around as a villain for next season, because he really became a full-on just devil in this last episode. But it's at the end of it, I guess it sort of is resolved in a way, because he doesn't have Woodbury anymore. Anyone who's left in Woodbury knows he's nuts now, and they're joining the prison. So what is it going to be next season? The governor with the Martinez and the other dude trying to go attack 30 people? It doesn't make sense. I mean, obviously he's probably going to stick around as some sort of villain, but it felt like you could have just wrapped it up and move on to something else, man. Like, we watched this whole season. It was, the prison versus Woodbury, Rick versus the governor, and you don't get that at the end. Really kind of just unsatisfying. You don't get what was promised, what was built up. You get instead Andrea killing herself because she got bit, and then them bringing all its people of Woodbury back to the prison. Carl being like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And then Rick kind of being all proud of himself. And I mean, unless I'm missing something, maybe I forgot what the final shot was. That was pretty much it. It was like some shots of the prison. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. Really unsatisfying. Sorry. I just, I don't know. It was not the best ending that there was to be had. Despite the fact that there's cool stuff in there, like the whole setup of Andrea being in the room with Milton as he's about to turn, I thought was good. Uh, I wasn't a fan of how it ended. I didn't think they needed to kill her, but oh well. Um, the governor going nuts, that was great, but then they just that was the last you see of him. And all the stuff with Carl was really good. Like there were good things in it, but it was not particularly exciting. It wasn't what was promised. You're expecting this big showdown at the prison, and it doesn't really happen. They come in, they retreat, the governor goes nuts, which, like I said, I admit that part's awesome, and it kind of just goes to the whole thing with the series where you have one episode that's great, this sorrowful life, and then you have this episode, which is the finale, which was not that great. It was kind of mediocre, and it was definitely unsatisfying. So I guess at least it kept in line with the rest of the show, in which 1 week it's great, 1 week it's not. And at this point, I'm just sticking with it just because, because I'm invested in the show, and I get to spend some time with the characters every week when it's back on. But I kind of go into every episode going, well, this could be good, it could be bad, could just be mediocre, which it often is. But then every once in a while, you get an episode where you're like, damn, that was really good. Maybe they finally figured out how to make the show great. But the thing is, they do know how to do it. They just don't do it all the time. I mean, congrats to the show for continuing to become a bigger success. Like, it's the biggest success out there in terms of TV. And, good for them for generally improving it as it goes along. But this show continues to be far from great and far from consistent. I think that's its biggest problem is it's not consistent. It's just 1 week it's good, 1 week you're like, what the fuck was that? And my final thoughts on the season, it was generally better, but still a bit too long. They could have cut some episodes. They could have cut the whole thing with Rick going crazy, and they could have made a stronger finale. I'm sorry, that just isn't enough in my book. Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys soon for Breaking Bad. Thanks for watching.